Now, over the years, we have all witnessed what Kathleen Kennedy had done to the Star Wars franchise, ranging from the sequel trilogy movies all the way to Solo: A Star Wars Story, with the exception of Rogue One. Even when you look back at what they could have done with that show and what they actually cut out of the series, they had so much more Darth Vader material to throw in there that Kathleen Kennedy refused to do so. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars updates. Also, by the way, guys, I am on Twitter at Mike01 if you guys want to go ahead and check me out on there. I do actually post a couple of fun things and interact with you guys on there. So, we're in a very interesting moment right now. You know, we're getting closer to the filming of The Mandalorian Season 3. Just a couple of days ago, they finished filming, finally, for the Obi-Wan Kenobi TV series. And I really shouldn't say finally, because let me just be honest here, is that the filming for the Kenobi TV series actually went quite fast. I believe they started in early July, and they wrapped up filming just days ago. Let that sink in for a moment. So that most likely does fit directly in line with this series being roughly 6 episodes long only. So, beyond all of this, we do know that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, they have their hands full. They're working on The Mandalorian Season 3 right now. They're getting ready to promote the Book of Boba Fett, which is going to have a lot of major cameos. A lot of major cameos, I must add, ranging from, of course, December, all the way as we get into the new year. This is going to be a big show before Kenobi and Andor hits. So, the thing about Jon and Dave right now is that they are working on a handful of other projects apart from The Mandalorian Season 3 and the Book of Boba, as well as Star Wars Ahsoka. We're going to be learning more and more about all of this over at Star Wars Celebration as well. What I want to get into is exactly what's been going on with Kathleen Kennedy. Of course, we all know that she's heavily working on that one Star Wars project that not a lot of fans are all too thrilled about for multiple reasons, which I'll get into a little bit later. However, now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are focused on their new Star Wars projects, like Star Wars Ahsoka and even The Mandalorian Season 3, Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are beginning to also work on several other Star Wars TV shows that will be ready to announce by this November. Now, it's explained, however, that Lucasfilm's Kathleen Kennedy is still working on the Acolyte TV series with Leslie Headland. Currently, there have been many problems going on for the series that Kathleen Kennedy is running into for this show that actually takes place within the High Republic era. Recently, she had ordered Leslie Headland to rewrite many parts of the script for the Acolyte series once again, in order to fine-tune the series to actually steer away from the vision of George Lucas. This, in turn, caused some problems, not just from the higher-ups over at Disney, but also with Disney CEO Bob Chapek. Alright, so that is actually now described to be overwhelmed and exhausted, with Kathleen Kennedy unable to run a TV show smoothly that she has full creative power over this time. Bob Chapek is said to actually have cut yet another episode from the series that Kathleen Kennedy will be able to hold creative power over, and that he is getting very frustrated with, of course, what Kathleen Kennedy has been doing with the series, as these rewrites are costing Disney serious money, as they are going to now have to announce a delay of the series by this November. So, let me just pause for a second. November is a big deal. This is when they're going to make those major announcements. We're talking about TV shows and movies, big-time ones, by the way. That's going to take a lot of fans by surprise. Now they're going to have to unveil, the process of the Acolyte and its delay. So, moving on. Originally, they were aiming to actually drop the show by 2022 sometime, with filming that was supposed to begin in late summer of this year. Now filming is said to wait until, at minimum, the new year for the show, and that a full-on delay for the series is now in the process over at Disney. Now, Chapek is described to have many problems with Kathleen Kennedy over the problems with the series, after the numerous firings of writers and directors causing setbacks and rolling back some of the ideas for the storyline. Now, this set Disney back approximately 6 months or more for the show to enter principal photography. Additionally, separate from all of this, Kathleen Kennedy is said to be in the process of hiring other writers right now for the series, and that Kathleen is actually even pushing Disney for them to approve for a second season of this series. Disney is described to only allow this to happen if it gets great reception and if the fandom ends up liking the storyline for the mystery thriller series that takes place before the prequels. What's very controversial, however, to the fandom is how Kathleen Kennedy will be introducing a number of retcons in the show that will in fact impact the prequel trilogy films by George Lucas. This in turn left Disney a bit worried and even told Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland to actually tone things down a bit with the retcons early on in the process. In general, Kathleen Kennedy lost more creative power from this because of what she has been doing with the writers and directors, and only holds such power now over half the season, which is of course roughly 6 episodes out of 12. So this series is going to be longer than the norm, alright? Longer than the typical Mandalorian series, right? So the fact that they are pushing this to be a 12-episode show, and how Kathleen Kennedy has the actual mindset to ask or beg Disney to approve a second season is beyond me. We got to see how a show works first, right? We got to see exactly how it rolls out, how the fans appreciate it, if they don't appreciate it. Listen, I know. We know who's attached to this thing. It's Kathleen Kennedy and Leslie Headland. It really seems like the show is not going to really take off, for multiple reasons. From what Leslie Headland talked about for the show, it really wasn't all that, inspiring, to say the least. In fact, she was pushing the whole agenda and identity politics being thrown in there, and if you guys want to go ahead and read what Leslie Headland had said, it is all over the internet. But one thing I will say right now is what Kathleen Kennedy is doing to the overall franchise and what she's doing to herself. So this show is actually set to actually introduce retcons to the prequel trilogy, and I would imagine not good ones. Alright, we already went over one major one of how she is going to be introducing something to do with the Chosen One prophecy, having to do with a Jedi God that is going to be portrayed by Brie Larson, playing the character Maeve. I've also said this several times that I'm not all too worried about this, because Jon and Dave can easily just swift their way through and make another series and just say Anakin is the real Chosen One, period, the end. Given that Kathleen Kennedy is only getting creative power over the Acolyte TV series, I don't think that there's anything really to worry about. But it's Kathleen Kennedy here and now, exactly what she's doing with the series and exactly the consequences that are actually pretty much coming to her reality by Bob Chapek and the other higher-ups over at Disney. She doesn't realize that this is costing her a lot of her creative power over the series, slowly but surely. Originally, she had creative power over the entirety of the season. Now it's only half the season, because they saw what she was doing and how she was botching all these different episodes of the show, and how it was just delaying the process further and further, and Disney could not afford that. So, like I say, I think that this is going to be a very interesting show in its own way, to see exactly how much of a failure it might be. Again, I don't want to just be super negative just for the reason of being negative. I'm not just doing that. We got to see the footage before we can really say anything. But what I can say is exactly what I think is about to happen to the show. It is going to be Batwoman 2.0. It is going to fail, in my book. That's just my opinion. It is going to fail. It's not going to do all that great. And I will be honest, you gotta wait until you see at least a shred of footage to really make a full judgment of that series. So, like I say, I think that Bob Chapek made the right call by dialing things down a bit for Kathleen. So, let me know what you think about all of this below in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
From night to morning.